Hey guys, Sandra here from Carcraft Auto Detailing in Melbourne. Today's video, as promised, is a more direct comparison of my most used compounds to try and answer a lot of questions I tend to get about them. These are all products that I have reviewed in past videos, as well as compounds that I use both professionally and in my personal life. But even more so, they're the ones that I've had the most interest on, which is why I've selected these 7 particular compounds for this comparison review. Now, it may seem a little overkill to some to even carry this many compounds around, and I'd agree for the most part it's true for most people's or professionals' needs as well as my own. But the thing about automotive paint is that it can be really damn fussy at times, and for reasons still largely unknown, certain paints just don't respond well to certain compounds and abrasives. So even though you could definitely use just about any decent compound out there to achieve good results on many paints, there will be those occasions where you will be thankful that you do have alternative options when the paint just won't cooperate or you're faced with more extreme defects and circumstances. I need to also highlight the massive difference between a good paint correction job and an exceptional one. When you pursue both the highest standard of defect removal together with the best possible highest clarity finish on paint, it's a far step away from good or decent work. And anyone here who has chased and achieved that goal knows exactly how much time, stress and effort it can be. And the thing about the products you use when you're looking for a no compromise result is that they really have to agree with the paint's needs in order to transform that finish from something good to something spectacular. Now, I have to say that trying to directly rate and compare these compounds was actually a lot harder than I anticipated. I could easily talk about and discuss their characteristics, strengths and weaknesses, user experience and so on, but when it comes down to a more direct head-to-head rating, it's actually quite hard to place a value on which one cuts or finishes better and is easier to use, as the variables of paint types, pad choices, environment and user technique all play a massive role in the outcome, and certain compounds respond better or worse to all these specific factors. So in a way, this has to be my disclaimer and where I had a lot of issue trying to directly relate these products, as given one scenario of circumstances, almost any product here could go from being amazing to problematic. However, I do appreciate that based on most questions I get about these products, which are along the lines of which one is best, which one cuts more, and which one finishes best, I think a more narrow way to answer those questions is fair enough. So in other words, this head-to-head review will be based on my overall experience and results, and just me trying to average out those strengths and weaknesses as a whole. So one by one, I'll be rating these compounds based on a set of criteria that is important for any compound to address. At this stage of putting this head-to-head comparison together, I really have no idea which compound is going to score the highest, and I'm actually quite strangely excited to see as to who will be the winner once I get to it. But in the end, it's not really going to alter what I think about these products or how and when I use them. But it will hopefully give some of you who have had questions on them a little more info and answers about them. So I'll just briefly go through the 6 criteria points I'll be using to rate these compounds. Firstly is cut or leveling ability. How well can it remove rids or random isolated deeper scratches, water edgings, oxidations and even light swirls. Second is finish or paint refining ability. So once the compound's done its job at removing the defects, how well does it finish down on the paint? Is it able to one-step certain paints? And what level of clarity can it achieve on certain paints? The third is adaptability and versatility. Can you tweak this compound to work within your style? Does it work well with a variety of pads and machines on a variety of paints? Fourth is user friendliness and user experience. Does it dust a lot? How hard or easy is it to wipe off? Does it cause your polisher to bog down? And does it smell nice or like a strong solvent? Fifth is efficiency and time. Does using this product speed up paint correction or does it slow you down? Do you have to use a lot of product to get the results or is only minimal needed? Sixth and last is cost and value. How expensive is it? Does that price point equate to value based on the experience it provides and the results it produces? So let's start with cutting and leveling ability. I've actually got no reserves giving Clear Cut 10 out of 10 for this criteria, as in my experience it is the most aggressive and capable cutting compound here. I'm going to give the last cut 8 out of 10 as it is a couple of steps down in comparison to Clear Cut, but it still is very effective at leveling defects. Shoal Concepts S2 Orange would be, in my opinion, the second most aggressive cutting compound here, so it gets 9 out of 10 based on its cut. Concourse Precision would come in at about 7.5 compared to the other compounds here. Manzana Fast Glass 400 on the other hand would sit side by side in the leveling department with the last cut, so it also gets an 8 out of 10 here. I'm going to give Polish Angel's Master Compound 7 out of 10 here in comparison to the other compounds for its leveling ability. And Shoal Concepts S20 Black really does get the lowest score of 6 out of 10 when you really are looking at its cutting capabilities. Next up is finishing and refining. Where Clear Cut had the highest score in cutting, it does get the lowest score here due to its limiting finishing qualities on anything but hard paint with a 5 out of 10. The last cut is truly a compound that can cut as well as it finishes, so it gets another 8 out of 10 here. As with Clear Cut, Shoal S2's great cutting does impact its finishing ability, so it comes in at 6 out of 10. Precision is another compound that has both an impressive cut and finish, so it also gets another 7.5 out of 10 for its great finish. Overall, Manzana FG400 does perhaps cut a touch better than it finishes, especially on mid to softer paints, so it gets 7 out of 10 here. Master Compound's finish is really fantastic on a wide range of paints, if not the super soft ones, so it really deserves a 9 out of 10 here. The one compound here that can really refine fantastically on just about any paint in most circumstances is S20 Black, so it easily gets 10 out of 10 in this column. The third criteria is adaptability and versatility. Now, although Clear Cut is impressive in its cut, it's not an overly adaptive compound, so it does score 5 out of 10. The last cut is, however, a massively versatile compound that can be adapted to many situations and therefore deserves a solid 9.5 out of 10. S2 Orange gets 6 out of 10 once again for this category as well, as it's also a bit of a compound that you need to work with rather than adapting it to your methods. There is definitely a little more versatility and flexibility to be found in Precision, so it gets 7 out of 10 here. Likewise, FG400 also gets a solid 7 out of 10 based on its ability to have good versatility and be able to address a number of situations. Master Compound needs to take the prize here on being the most versatile compound here with its massive flexibility and range of qualities, so it does get 10 out of 10. S20 Black, being a touch more limited in its cut on harder paints, gets an 8 out of 10 here, as it still has such diversity in its effectiveness on a wide range of situations. The fourth category is user friendliness and the user experience. Due to its short, non-aggressive work style, Clear Cut gets a 7 out of 10 here, as though it can dust if you push it too far, it really is quite a nice compound to work with if used correctly. The last cut definitely deserves a 9 out of 10 here for its low to no dusting and exceptionally easy wipe off with that pleasant coconut smell. As much as I love S2 Orange, it can be a dusty compound to work with on hotter days, and its wipe off can also be a little more work, so it gets a 5 out of 10 here. Precision can also dust a bit at times as well as have a slightly harder wipe off, but overall it's quite a user friendly product, getting 7 out of 10 here. Much the same, FG400 also gets a 7 out of 10 here. Master Compound once again gets 10 out of 10 here, being the only compound I've never seen even a speck of dust with, and also having the easiest wipe off and an addictive pleasant smell. S20 Black also gets another 8 out of 10 here for its very low dusting, easy wipe off, and generally great ease of use. The next category is efficiency and speed. The reason Clear Cut gets 9 out of 10 here is because it really is a time-saving product that can certainly level down paint rapidly. The last cut most deservingly gets the top score of 10 out of 10 here with its amazing balance of cut and finish, that can save you time in doing more steps, as well as the small amount of product that really goes a long way. S2 Orange gets a solid 7 out of 10 here, as its cut can certainly save time, and its finish on harder paints can also do likewise. Precision, being such a consistent compound in all areas of its efficiency, gets a well-deserved 8 out of 10 here. The same can be said for Manzurna FG400, really being a fantastic time saver with both great cut and finishing qualities, so it also gets 8 out of 10 here. Master Compound does perhaps have the greatest range from cut to finish, but due to the longer time it requires to obtain those results, it gets a 7 out of 10 for efficiency. Closely behind the last cut, S20 Black comes in second here with 9 out of 10 for its speedy use with capable cutting to brilliant finish, which rarely requires a follow-up polish. The last assessment criteria is cost and value. Clear Cut, like most compounds here, sits at $70 per litre, but due to the increased amount you need to use compared to most, it is a little more pricey, giving it 7 out of 10. Although the last cut costs $55 a litre, which is 70 Aussie dollars, the fact that international shipping is just so expensive, it unfortunately has to get a 5 out of 10 here. S2 Orange is a touch cheaper than most, and its generally high leveling ability also saves product and time, coming in at 8 out of 10. Precision also sits at a slightly higher price point of $80 per litre, which does increase its cost and comes in at 7 out of 10. Manzurna FG400 is another $70 per litre compound and does represent great value with its performance and characteristics, giving it 8 out of 10. Unfortunately, this is where Master Compound takes a big hit, coming in at 4 out of 10 for its massive price point of about $150 per litre. Overall, when you consider how much range and performance S20 Black can give you, its $67 per litre makes it the best value compound here in my experience with 10 out of 10. So if I add up the totals, Clear Cut comes in at 43 out of 60. The last cut totals 49.5 out of 60. S2 Orange has 41 out of 60. Precision finished up with 44 out of 60. FG400 got 45 out of 60. Master Compound with 47 out of 60. And with 51 out of 60, Shell Concepts S20 Black had the overall highest score. Now, this was pretty interesting for me to put together, as I've actually never put scores to products or assessed them in this way, which was honestly a bit of a struggle. And although it personally made me think and rethink these products for hours, I'm not entirely sure this is a good way to assess these compounds. As like I touched on earlier, there's just too many variables that can alter the results and scores, that it's virtually impossible to equate for all of them when putting a physical number and judgment on each compound. In the end, the car's paint is going to decide what the best compound is, and your environment, skill level and method are going to be perhaps the biggest factors. This video really came about more due to the comments and messages I've been getting, where I guess viewers wanted a more straightforward answer to the assessment criteria I rated them on. So I'll actually leave it up to you guys to decide whether this format of judging products is one you like or dislike, depending on the comments. But just a quick final summary of the results to end with. When you look at the scores of each compound, most of them have highs and lows. But the two products that stayed consistent in every area were Concours Precision, which I'll add has been my most used of all the compounds here over the last year, as well as Manzurna FG400, which I have said in past videos that it's perhaps not the best at one particular thing, nor the worst, but it's just an all-round consistent great compound. The harder cutting compounds, such as Clear Cut and S2, really do excel in their main purpose, which is to level down paint defects. But the trade-off is that they just can't finish as well, at least on mid to softer paints. The two compounds that I've been the most impressed with in the last few months have been the Last Cut and Master Compound. What really hurt this score was plain and simple cost, which is important, but as you can hopefully see, if they were more affordable, they would have perhaps been the first and second place winners. Now to the winner, Shell Concepts S20 Black. Overall, this is the compound I always start with as my first point of contact when correcting paint. Used on the Shoal Concepts Blue Spider pads, this is the product that always tells me so much about the paint, even if it's not the compound for the job. But if it does work, I'll always use it as it is affordable, fast to work with, has a great user experience, and is far less aggressive than just about any compound out there. If you do want more information on these compounds, I have covered all of them in past videos, as this really was a more head-to-head comparison and rating of them. I do really hope you guys found this video useful. Please like, comment and subscribe to show your support for this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.